Microphone check. All right. So throughout my short life on my YouTube channel here, I've drawn reference to my background as a male model. And one of you, Joel Prince 4170, you wonder if I could answer some questions on like what it's like being a male model. I asked him for some questions in particular to guide me. He graciously left me a bunch of questions. I wrote them out here for organizational purposes. I also asked him if I should post that on this channel, because this is kind of like my music channel. I have another channel that's my everything else channel, I guess, like gaming, modeling. It was intended to be that way. I have like no videos on it, but I'm just waiting for the time and the right idea to put on that channel to kind of start the process with that channel. He said since I'm already going on this channel, just add it to the music channel to add a little variety. Let me know your thoughts as well, if you think this is the type shit that I should have put on my everything else channel or not. But regardless, I'm more than happy to take Joel's advice and just put it here. So Joel asked, I asked him if he was interested in being a male model, and he said no. Wait, I don't know if he said no. He said, unfortunately, I'm not pretty or handsome. Go, yeah, maybe. Can't talk like that about yourself. You never know, bro. There's all kinds of different models. But he's also short. So that would take you out of like runway, but there's a lot of shorter models who do like print stuff. But anyway, so who am I? So this is my Instagram. I don't have a portfolio online because I'm not with any agency right now. So just ignore that. I got to change that. So I started modeling, what year was this shit? I don't know what year that was. Why does the web browser Instagram, why does it go by weeks? Oh, no, here we go. 2017. Yes. So this was a little bit before I got scouted. This was when I got scouted. First agency was called Anti. I heard that they used to be Trump models, which was a pretty big, busy modeling agency. But that was around the time when Trump was running for president or became president or something like that. They kind of wanted to rebrand and not be associated with Donald Trump, so they opened another agency. A lot of the crew from Trump models opened their own agency called Anti. They were like the new kids on the block. They still had all the clients and everything, so it was really good memories. New York Fashion Week, Men's Day. I think that's like just have one of the day where it's mostly the male designers and who did this type shit. Take press photos, put it online. Me and my brother Clarence, we were like two of the only Asian male models in the joint. And what's interesting is so I started posting like pictures taken by like photographer homies right before I got scouted. I forgot I took this photo here. And I interviewed with a couple agencies. The one that I ended up going with and they wanted to go with me as well was Anti as my first agency. I sat down and they told me that Asians are the highest population of people on the earth. They are one of the biggest consumers of products sold in the beauty and fashion industry. Yet if you look at modeling boards, you hardly see any Asians at all. And that did not make sense to them. And that it became sort of an industry practice where on a board of, let's say 50 models, one or two of them, maybe three is going to be Asian, and no more than one of them is going to be a male. And they thought that was ridiculous, considering that most of the money they take from consumers are of Asian ethnicity, but we give that money back in terms of hiring their models, like by far the least. Like by far, like if you're going to have like black models on a board of 50 models, you could have like 5 to 10 or something. And now it's even more. But for some reason with Asians, you know, they just last in line, you know what I mean? So when they told me that, I felt like they really cared. Not just about making money in the modeling industry, but like they stood for something. And not in a way where like people are asking companies to stand for something when they don't even really care about the thing that they're being asked to stand for. I felt like they actually did care about these things. So that was huge for me. This was a test shoot. I was shooting with the homies here. Me and my agency mates doing those mid-air jump type shits. Oh yeah, this is my first editorial with Interview Mag. I think I was on the September issue with Kim Kardashian. They had me in drag, which I thought was dope. Remember a lot of heads from like the old neighborhood. Like they're not used to seeing this like this. So they were like, are you coming out the closet type shit? It was like, oh, this is a job, man. Like I wear the look that they give me. What, you don't like it? Some more shit. Oh, this was cool because like you find people you get along with in the agency and y'all just be kicking it. Like I think we're kicking at somebody's rooftop and we just took this picture. This was a homie, but everyone else were model homies. Like these type of memories never gonna be replaced. It was like really kind of romantic, you know what I'm saying? I made some of my my best friends some more shoots. Oh, this was an interesting day because this was a really important job for me to go and perform and try to make a repeat client out of them. And they were asking me to have more of like a light attitude. But right before we started shooting, I found out there was a death in the family. So that's why you see me looking like this. And they were really great about it. They were like, damn, that sucks. But also they never called me back. Yeah, some of the best artists in the world, finding a muse in you for a moment, doing illustrations. Oh, and my favorite part of posting on Instagram was the words, the captions. I feel like it just adds a whole different dimension of self-expression that I really cherish. This shit was Hugo Boss, the homies once again, girl I was dating at the time. Shouts to you, human. Editorials, some a little bit more commercial-ish. The actual Hugo Boss shit. Oh, these are the boys. Me and him were in the same agency. This was our homie. Different agency. We were like the Powerpuff Girls. Run around Manhattan and shit. Getting into shenanigans. That was cool, man. So basically, this is how the shit went down. I got scouted in 2017. Yeah. I was 27 years old at the time. I was a grown-ass man. That was not my first job. And that's one thing that I feel like is important. If you get scouted as a teenager and even early 20s, you might attach a lot of your self-worth and self-value to your job. And in a job like modeling, that could be a very slippery slope because if you get a job, you feel like you're the man. And if you don't get a job, it'll feel like a rejection on you as a person. Whereas when I was scouted at 27 and I went to castings and I didn't get the job, I didn't feel like they were rejecting me. I just felt like I wasn't the right look for that job. You know what I'm saying? Like I was a lot more grounded. I was able to compartmentalize a lot better compared to if I got scouted at 19 or something, I probably would have had those issues. Kind of like how they say with stand-up comedians, it's one thing to be funny in your friend group, but it's another thing to be funny enough to be a professional funny person. It's like a whole different level, right? And now you're expected to always be in top form. Like you can never have a day off. Like if you have one bad stand-up comedy show, whatever, that's gonna be a huge blow. And with modeling, it's not humor, it's your looks, I guess you could say. And if you have a bad job or like a whole 3-6 month period where you don't get a single job, it feels like a blow because now it's your job. But being scouted at 27, I didn't really have those issues. And even the people around me, like the youngins in the late teens, early 20s, like those male models, they didn't really have those issues either. I feel like male models might have a little bit less of an issue with attaching their self-worth to their looks. And I think you see that in society. I feel like women have their value as a human attached to their looks like disproportionately, to the point where if you're past a certain age, you're seen as like old goods or something, whereas a male can continue to add status and gravitas to themselves as they get older. I think it's one of the tragedies of humanity, and I think you see a shade of that in the modeling industry. All right, so Joel's first question, what are castings like? It's different depending on what market you're in, and when I say market, that just means your location. So New York, Paris, London, Milan, Seoul, Japan, Germany, like it depends. It's a little different depending on where you're at. And there's different kinds of castings. So if you're a model, you're pretty much gonna have your notifications for your email on at all times, because your agency, when you get a casting, you're gonna get an email with all the information. This is the client, this is the rate. Some agencies don't send the rate to you for some reason, but I'm like, you know, that's your job. Like this is the money we're both making together. Like, why are you withholding very important information from me? But yeah, they would send you the location to go to, the time, and the time could be like 10 a.m. and it has to be 10 a.m. But more often than not, it's like be there between 10 and 2. And as a model, you want to be the first one there or maybe the last one there so that you don't have to deal with such a line when you get there. So yeah, you got the client, the location, the casting company. So when they send me this information, like I said, I was 27. I like to do my due diligence. I already dabble in finance, music industry, the music business, the culinary arts. Like I've done various things that require various different types of organization and due diligence. So if they send me the client, I'm looking at the client. Like say it's Nike, I'm looking at all their past campaigns where they use models. What does it look like? What kind of energy are they going for? I'm also looking at the casting director's company, because the client, like Nike, will have a job. They'll hire a casting director who does the casting process, looking for models. So I won't just look at Nike, I'll look at the casting director. What kind of models do they like? I'll go to their Instagram. Who do they like to show love to? What kind of looks as in the kinds of models? Maybe if they're looking for an Asian male model, they're looking for that like heroin addict looking Asian male model with the bald head. Maybe looking for more of a commercial, beautiful, muscularly built Asian male model. It's just information that I'm gathering, because I don't know when I'm gonna need this information if I go to the casting. Say they want me to try on an outfit and take a few pictures. If I'm already doing kind of what they're looking for, then I'm kind of already ahead of the game. You know what I'm saying? By just half a step. I also felt like that kind of due diligence I just had to do, because I only started modeling when I was like late in the game, and I'm not very good at modeling. Like I'm still getting on my angles and creating shapes and lines with my body, posing. So I needed to get as much on my side helping me get the job as possible. So you just show up to the address. It's either really easy to find, or there's a piece of paper saying, if you're here for this casting, go up to the second floor, turn right, whatever. And then you're gonna know when you're there. There's gonna be a whole bunch of other model looking people in their model uniform, and a model uniform is basically just your outfit that is very plain, but it shows off the shape of your body. If you're more into fashion modeling, then you're allowed to express your uniqueness a little more. You can wear some jewelry, wear some more interesting clothing, because they kind of like that. But with commercial modeling, they just want you to keep it plain Jane. Matter of fact, I'll add that. Commercial versus fashion. That's something I should talk about later. And each one's different. You'll generally just sign in your name, or just tell there's going to be a person or a couple people sitting at a desk in the middle of the fucking joint, and just say, hey, I'm here for the casting, blah blah blah, and they'll just tell you everything you need to know. Like, all right, cool, what's your name? All right, just sit over there, we'll call your name when you're up. So you go up, and then you just chill, you read a book, play on your phone. If you see someone you know, you talk to them. If you see someone you don't know, you can talk to them if you want to. And when they call your name, you go up, and then you meet the casting director. Someone from the client, like say Nike, they may also be there when you walk in that next room. They'll have a camera, they'll have a mark on the floor where you're supposed to stand generally, because they have the camera set a certain way, so you got to stand in a certain position. And they'll just ask you to slate, basically, like, what's your name, who's your agency, and tell some question to do with like tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you like to do outside of this modeling shit or whatever? And if you're a male model, I learned that what you don't want to do is say work out, because everybody says that. Because if you're a male model, you're like, damn, being good looking could just be my job. So like literally I could just like be in the gym, go rock climbing, do active shit, and then just go to castings when I get them. So my whole life is just an active lifestyle now, and I get paid off that. And they're really happy about that. It's a pretty cool setup. And then when you go to castings, everyone says, oh, I like to work out. But because everyone says that, it's turned into kind of like an eye roll response. So you really want to just make something up. Like you could say cosplay, you could say I'm going to school for this, or you know what I'm saying? Like add a little season into that shit, you know? They'll take some photos of you, straight on headshot, shots of you to the side, maybe at a 3/4 angle. And you know when they like you if they ask you to try on some of the clothes, because some of the clothes that are going to be involved when you do the job may be there at the casting. So they may see me and be like, oh yeah, he looks like he could be a top candidate for the job. Let's see what he actually looks like with the clothes on. And then now you take some more pictures after you put the clothes on. If they have you put clothes on, you know they like you. That doesn't mean you won't get a call back. It doesn't mean you're going to get their job, but it means that you are standing out in their mind right now. So that's a really good sign. And then you go home, like you go out, you grab a coffee and you go back home. Maybe you have multiple castings that day, so then you go to the next casting and then the next one, and then you go home. Chances are, if that client's holding castings that day, a lot of people are holding a casting, so you're gonna see some friends are out and about. You text them like, hey, where you at? Are you Midtown? You wanna link up before our next casting or something? And sometimes, like, let's say I get one casting that day, my friend gets one casting, and then our third friend got like 5 castings. There are people who will like tag along. Like me and so only got one casting. Now we want to go with our third friend who got 5 and just go to all their castings. You feel what I'm saying? Just to kind of cheat their way in. And some people get jobs like that. like going to a casting that they weren't even requested at. Now that's something I avoid because I feel like I'm in a partnership with my agency. And if my agency didn't send me to it, I don't want to go to it because I don't want to put them in a weird position. It's a funny story. My second or third agency, I'm not going to say their name because it's not really going to be a story that makes them look good, but they had a model who crashed the casting in that manner, but no one would tell them who the model was. And it definitely wasn't me. I was there. I went to the casting with a friend who actually had the casting, but I waited outside because I don't want to put my agency in that position, because I don't want them to feel like I'm doing shit because I want to do it. I always want them to feel included. So let's say I want to go to a casting, I'll give them a little text or a call like, hey, my friend got this casting. I feel like I'd be a shoo-in. Like, do you mind if I crash it? Like, I'd at least check in, you feel me? That's just the way I always was. So my agency found out someone from our agency crashed that casting, and they knew I was at the casting, even though I wasn't in there meeting with them. I was waiting outside. So they were telling me, look, like, tell us who it was. And I'm like, yo, respectfully, like, I can't, because I'm gonna feel like I'm snitching, but just know that, like, it wasn't me, and that's out of respect for y'all. And they were just like, nah, then it must have been you. But I'm like, no, you know it wasn't me, because if it was me, you could check in with the casting director and say, who was it? And my name is not even on the list of models that they saw, so you already know I wasn't being seen by them. And then because I would not give up the information of who I knew actually crashed the casting, they fired me on the spot, which I thought was crazy. Because that whole day, I thought I was behaving in a way where I was having everyone's back. I was being respectful. I was trying to stand by my morals, and I was trying to be very transparent, just not with the snitching part. But I was telling my agency why, but that I would never do that to them. And I was the one that got fired. And the person who crashed it obviously stayed on, and he went on to have more success with them. So yeah, crazy. No regrets though. Got a lot of love for my brother who did crash that casting and went on to have some more success. So that's generally what we can expect from a casting. But some castings are referred to as cattle calls. That's because you feel like cattle being corralled into a freaking slaughterhouse. Let me see if I can find a picture. Yeah, some cattle call castings, you're gonna feel like just like this, like a piece of meat, like just another number. In my agency, my first one, Anti, as much as possible, they did not send us the cattle calls because they did not want their models to be sitting there in a dehumanizing fashion. Now, this wasn't a big deal to me. It really wasn't. It was probably the most like stressful, annoying type of casting because you really crammed in there. You're sweating. People are just like, they're yelling out instructions. Everybody's cranky. Everybody's grumpy. It didn't bother me, but I feel like the agency just felt like castings like that should be a relic of the past. And there should be a way to do a casting now where we treat people like people. Now, if you want to, you can talk, like I could have talked to my booker and said, hey, if you get a cattle call, I don't mind it. You can send me to it, and then they'll send me to it. But off bat, they'll be like, hey, I'm probably not going to want to send you to that unless you want me to send you to that. So basically, you're going to have cattle call castings where the casting director and or the client, they're just like, okay, let's see 5,000 models in one afternoon, and then that's what that's going to look like, just like this. And then that's going to be, I guess, for their benefit because they get to see a lot of beautiful faces in one day. But then for the beautiful faces themselves, they're going to be pretty stressed and pressed. There's cattle call castings, and then there's other castings. There's going to be some nuance and variance. Like say your job is for a commercial, like film. They may not just take pictures. They may ask you to act out a scene. And there's going to be little differences depending on the job and the client, the casting director, how they like to do things. For the most part, that's what you can expect. And the mentality going in, I think this is really important. If there's any like young male models or whatever kind of model watching this shit, then the main thing is to make the casting director fall in love with you, because maybe you're just not going to be right for the job. Maybe your look is a very particular look. And if you go in there, you smile, you try to connect with the casting director, not just the casting director, everyone in there. Like, you're just a beam of light in the room, basically. And your questions just cut through. Like if I show up near the end of the times that you can show up, I might be like, man, we're almost off. Like, what you got going on after this? How are the castings so far? Like, I'll talk to them like we're long lost best friends, basically. Some people like try to be entertaining, but just in some way, if you want to stand out and be memorable to the casting director, make them fall in love with you in one way or another. That is the most important thing, because if you're not right for the Nike job, when Adidas comes calling, they're going to be like, oh, I remember so-and-so, they were dope. I could spend all day in a room with them. Because that's another thing is, whoever they hire, they're going to have to spend all day in a room with you. So they don't want a bad cellmate. They want someone that they could spend all day in a room with. So they might think of you and specifically ask for you via your agency. And that has got me a lot of jobs, just from treating the casting directors like people, like regular people, and people like to be talked to and approached a certain way. You know what I'm saying? They gonna remember you for another job. Bada bang, one down. So male side is competitive as a female side. Hard for me to answer this because I've never been a female model. I used to joke that I'm a male model because they wouldn't let me be a female model. Ha ha ha. 2017 humor, whatever. It's not so much the male and the female, it's the look. So let me explain. So I'm gonna pick on Wilhelmina Models, one of the biggest agencies. They have their ups and downs, but they still remain one of the biggest agencies. This is the New York City men main board. They got a long list of models here. You might have someone like these two models. They're on the same board. They're both he/hims. They're both almost the same height and all that. They're not going to be in competition to each other. It's not going to be competitive between these two because they have two different looks. This guy's pretty toned. He's got freckles, big lips, got that mixed black kind of look. And then you got this guy, strong cheekbones, nice lips but smaller lips, facial hair. Got that cologne model type of look going on for me. Also very fit. Yeah, these two are not going to be in competition with each other. It's going to be about your look. So model, let's say you're a freckled black model. How many other freckled black models are there going to be? And how many other freckled black model jobs are there going to be? Supply and demand. That's going to be what it's about. For me, I was an Asian male model, and the Asian male model jobs were probably among the least. So competition, you would assume, would be pretty fierce. But there was a season where I was getting mad jobs. Like my first year, I was getting mad jobs because it just wasn't too many Asian male models who were like 6'2", 6'3". And then the next season, I started seeing a lot of Asian male models coming out of Korea and other places. Now for those like 2 or 3 Asian male model jobs, I wasn't getting any of them because now there's like 10 Asian male models going for them from all over the world. And so in that sense, you could say it's competitive, just the supply and demand factor. So is it competitive more as a male model versus a female model? I really can't tell you. I feel like among all my male model friends, it really depended on their look. So now I'm at a different agency. This is Maryland. This is one of my close friends right here, Cardi. There's another one, Ngawang. So both of them are Asian male models, but obviously they look very different. He's more mixed. He's straight up Tibetan, born and raised in Bed-Stuy, but ethnically Tibetan. They will not be going to the same castings most of the time. Ngawang, he has good years, bad years, but he gets booked a lot. For whatever reason, he doesn't have too much competition. He's kind of got that cool but handsome, beautiful, shaved head type of Asian male model. Cardi is more of a commercial beauty, and in the first like year or two, Cardi could hardly find any jobs at all. And you look at him, like, he's beautiful. But as far as modeling jobs, he's one of a few people who look this good in this way, but there was just like no jobs for him for this look. He had to go to like Asia, to some of the Asian markets, and he was getting booked crazy. I think he even became a regular person on a Chinese drama. He was like the douchebag American boyfriend of some Chinese drama somewhere. You know, so I have a lot of male model friends, and they each will tell you something different. Like, do they feel like it's competitive or not? Like, it doesn't depend on their gender. It just depends on their look and the jobs and the market at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think about the 90s and the thousands, the runway shows, they had like maybe 3 black girls and like 1 Asian girl. So if you're a black or Asian at the time, I imagine it was very competitive because there's like 1 job for like 100 of you. I feel like that's more of a factor. I will say this though, I hear female models can have more of a competitive attitude against each other, but when it comes to the males, they're really chill and laid back. Like, whether I get this job or not, I'm not really tripping. I'm not hating on my competition, like whatever. Is there a casting coach for male and female models? I mean, you don't really need one because let's say you're a new model, you're developing, and there's not a specific And maybe someone somewhere has a casting coach in their building, but I feel like it's unnecessary. Like, they'll sign you and just someone in the building, like a booker, the manager, the coffee person, like somebody will just tell you what to expect at a casting, kind of like how I did earlier, except they'll say it a little bit more concisely and elegantly. And then they might actually like take you to the roof or something and take some digitals, like some pictures. Like, these are the kind of pictures they're probably gonna ask you to do. So give me a head-on shot. Okay, so when you do this, put your chin down a little bit. You know, everyone has a better angle when their chin is down. It looks like your best angle is the 3/4 profile. So to hone that in, let's just do 1 or 2 shots, and then that's really all you need. Castings are really simple because if you think of a job interview, like, they're looking at your history, your personality, and all of that. If you're looking at acting, like an audition, there's probably more to it. But for a model, they just want like your appearance, like your physical appearance, and it doesn't really matter what your personality is, like, I guess in theory. In my opinion, it does, because they want to choose someone they could be stuck in a room with for a whole day, like on the day of the job. But basically, it's just your appearance. So you just follow simple instructions and leave and still get a bunch of jobs. You know what I'm saying? Just because you have the right look for that time period. So in my opinion, casting coach, completely unnecessary. Later on, I'm going to cover commercial versus fashion modeling. If you're a fashion model, they may have a runway coach, but at the same time, you shouldn't have to depend on a runway coach in terms of working on your walk for the runway. You should be practicing that regardless, because you're gonna be walking from point A to point B every day, all day. Like, if you live in New York, walking to the train station, just walk there, practicing your runway walk, you feel me? Another thing, you go to the gym, walk on the treadmill, put a phone somewhere where you could see your walk, and just kind of like right between regular walk and power walk, like walk at that speed, film yourself so you know what you look like. Another thing is you just put the camera at the end of a hallway in your house or in a hallway in your apartment building, and then press record, and then you just walk to it, and then walk away, and then walk back, and then you look at it and you critique it, or like, oh, my legs look too stiff, or I'm not swinging my arms enough, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But you also kind of want to have different kinds of walks. Like, it depends on your client, because a client may want you to walk a little bit more robotically. Another client might want you to walk like you're power walking, trying to catch the train. Like, it's different. I feel like that's the kind of coach that you would need. I do remember in my first agency, you would have a booker to go to the rooftop with the new models and just do a quick little demo on walking. And it was only something you needed to do like once or twice for a few minutes. It wasn't necessary beyond that, because just you going to castings, doing your job, you're going to get better at it naturally. Now, if you go to like a holiday party and you're at one of your booker's houses, now, if you feel like your walk is really bad and it's actually holding you back, then you can go to your booker and ask if they can help you with their walk, and they'll do that if you want to do it that way, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of times when I was practicing my walk in the beginning, I was practicing it with my fellow models just because we just wanted to get better at our job. How much money do models bring in? This is an interesting one. Really depends. I'd say editorials, there's like social media, type jobs, maybe e-com, campaigns. All right, so there's more types of jobs than these 4. Those are just only 4 I could think of. Editorials, you're gonna be on Vogue, you're gonna be on Interview Mag. Let me take you back to my shit. This is an editorial. This is also an editorial. Editorial jobs are some of the coolest jobs because they give you the coolest looks, the coolest concepts, but they pay you $0. It's mostly to build your portfolio. If you're trying to hire a model and you see this type of shit in my portfolio, I'm doing editorials in the same issue as Kim Kardashian, whatever, you're like, dang, that's a crazy shot. Ooh, he must be a highly sought after model. But the food, that's how they pay you. They feed you at modeling jobs, at editorials, they pay you $0, but usually the food is pretty fire. They'll order from some dope ass place nearby. I think for Interview Mag, we had like a bunch of halal food, something like that. Ooh. I'm gonna add one more. Runway. Fashion Week. If you're a fashion model, you should do Fashion Week as much as you can. It's another high status, very cool job, but they pay you very little, anywhere from 0 to, I don't know, 500. If you're a male model. My agencies, if there are runway jobs where they paid you 0 to like 250, they would not even send me there because that's unreasonable. Fashion week is hectic. It's a lot of work. You're going to like 10 castings a day, and you got to get some kind of payoff from all that effort. You're going to be spending money just going to castings, and if they're paying you like 250 or below, usually they won't even send me. If they pay me 250 to 500, I'm more than happy to take it. I'm very happy to take it, actually. If it's a very big client, if you're somebody special, like let's say you're triple booked and you're a big name, they may give you $1,000 or something like that, or $500 to $1,000. This is all male model shit. If you're a female model, double, triple all these numbers, except 0 times 3 is still $0. They're still not gonna make shit. Modeling is one of the few industries that is dominated by females and the LGBTQ plus community. It's one of the few industries where the males get paid the least. I think that's dope that we have an industry like that, and I actually mean it when I say that. It's just unfortunate that I am in the position to make the least amount of money in this industry. My girl would probably, if she did runway, she'd probably be more like 500 to 1,000 on the low end. Some girls make more than that, especially if you're a big name, but we're talking male models. Honestly, I'd be happy if I made 300. If I made 350, I'd be like really happy. And I do like say 3 shows that fashion week, make like $1,000-ish that week. Very happy. If you're doing a job that's just like they gonna put on Instagram, social media type shit, you can expect be like 500 range, you know what I'm saying? And there's jobs that are similar to this, you know, it doesn't have to be a social media job exactly, but there are a lot of jobs in the $500 range as a male model. E-com. What is e-com? When you're shopping online and you see someone standing there in these repetitive poses, that is e-com. E-com, you can expect at least 800, 1,200 doubloons. That's for one day of work. And let me tell you, it's gonna be a hard day of work because you're gonna be standing there all day. You have to go through the same 5, 6, 8, 10 poses for each look, 20, 30, 40 looks. And you're gonna be going through a repetitive motion for 8, 10 hours straight. And physically, it's a little exhausting, but psychologically, it is torture. It's really hard to explain. But that's why the compensation is much more decent. They're at least going to give you around 1,000. Sometimes, let's say they only have 10 looks for an e-com. They may pay you 800. They may pay you 600. You know, like the shit varies a little bit. Campaign. This is when you get in the thousands to the tens of thousands. This is the shit that everybody is going for. It is the big marketing campaign that client is doing for that whole season, maybe even for the whole year. That's their big job. So they're going to be paying big bucks. It's going to be a pretty big production. It doesn't have to be a big production, but that's basically where they're putting all their clams for the year in terms of marketing efforts that involve a model. So Nike did a campaign for the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Team USA. These are models, a couple of them are athletes. Bada bing, Jabril. This was a dope job because they've paid to fly us out to their headquarters. They paid for our hotel and et cetera, and they had multiple models there, so they definitely broke bread. I don't remember where she's from. She was real cool. She kept to herself. She wasn't in there with like light skin energy. She was just a cool chick. She was dope. I feel like if her and I lived in the same city, we would have became best friends. Jabril, he from Brooklyn. I was from Brooklyn. I was staying at Brooklyn at the time anyway. Jabril is dope. He actually started a YouTube channel. It's for gaming. I wasn't looking for it. I couldn't find it. Wanted to plug it. My bad. I don't know why it's all spread out like this, but you might find that you cannot see me here. That's because when the model showed up, they separate us into different nations and they kind of mixed and matched. They had a Nigerian be Team USA. They had a Black American represent Team Nigeria. I think they had a Hmong brother do Korea, and they had me, a Korean, do China. And right when this job was going on, COVID-19 popped off and they just deleted China off of the campaign. That includes me. So even though they did pay me for that first trip, did not do any follow-up jobs, and my pictures weren't even on the internet anymore. They were all like scraped off the internet. Unfortunately, even though I'm not even Chinese, it's part of the whole anti-China thing going on at the time. So for me, I think that was like, I think I got like 8K plus they paid for my flight, plus hotel, plus food, plus they took us out shopping after the job, like on the way to the airport. Like we had to buy our own shit, but like they took us to the mall and stuff. It was like a really cool little job. Now this is Nike. They got a big budget. Some brands, they have just as much of a budget, but they're gonna pay you like $2,000, and you might look at that like, damn, cheapskates. And then you might get another job that's a campaign, and they might be offering you $15,000, $30,000. There will be people who make $70K, $80K for a campaign job. I know a couple people like that. So this is what you really want. You really want to get, if you can get one campaign a year, you'd be hashtag blessed. E-com is great because let's say you're shooting for Target or Walmart or Amazon, you know, it's a grueling job. But if you can get someone to love you so much that they want you as a regular, they may ask you to come back one day a week, every week. So now you're making $1,000 a week just from one day of work. That's also very highly sought after setup if you can pull it. Social media, you know, kind of like one-offs. Take it if you can get it. Runway, definitely a young model's kind of pursuit. They really help in establishing yourself. Like if you're a young new face, you definitely want to go to every fashion week for your first few years. And if eventually you feel like the amount of effort it takes does not match the pay that you were getting in return, you may stop doing runway, but by then you may not need to do runway anymore. You're getting like all these jobs because of the efforts you put in your first few years doing this. Editorials, you should always take it. They're not paying you, but they build your portfolio in a way that there's really nothing else that could match it. Is there any abuse that happens in modeling behind the scenes? Example, emotional, sexual abuse by photographers, management. Yes. Like in any other job, there's absolutely people who are in positions of power who are going to abuse that power. And like I said earlier, this is an industry not dominated by straight males. So the people in power are other people from other groups. Those are the people who are going to abuse their power like any other human in a position of power who can probably get away with whatever they want to do in any other industry. It is a human feature. It definitely happens. Now it's harder to get away with because we have things like the Model Alliance and Me Too movement type shit, where if you do something and that person doesn't like it, they could definitely out you for sure. There's also situations where maybe somebody in a position of power, they haven't abused anybody in like 10, 20 years, but because of the Me Too movement, all those people that they abused 10, 20 years ago are coming out and now they're in trouble. Okay. So it's harder to get away with abuse, but it definitely happens. My girl, she got a job when she was a minor and they wanted her to come alone and do some like nude stuff, even though I'm pretty sure she had like a no nudity clause or something. They wanted to see her naked, and she always brings her mom to her shoots because she's a minor, and they were so mad that her mom was there, they just fired her and gaslighted her. Oh, you don't want to be a professional? You don't want to be naked for me? Like, but the crazy thing is that they were a client, aka they had clothes to sell. Why do you need her to be naked? How's that going to sell any clothes? She's not wearing clothes. She's not selling any clothes at that point. For my part, I'll tell you two stories. I did a test shoot that was kind of an editorial, and he or she put me in some like freaky type shit. And then one piece by one piece slowly had me go and try to get me closer to naked. And then I was in like a thong, and she or he wanted to get me out of my thong and be naked. But the thing with an editorial is that with an editorial, you're selling the clothes that you're wearing. And if I'm not wearing clothes, then what are we selling? So it just didn't make logical sense. And I just expressed that feeling. And she or he was like, fine, if you don't want to do it, then. And then quickly ended the shoot, and she or he sent me home. In the middle of that shoot, she or he needed me to tuck my shirt in earlier on when I still had more clothes on, and I was going to fix my shirt, but she or he wanted to do it, and they tucked my shirt in and touched my dick in the process, and it didn't feel like an accident. So that's one story. Another one, there was a guy, but he was I think he was gay or bi. He's an older gentleman, but big name, big job. It definitely would have been set up financially, but he asked me to let him give me head, and I was like, I don't, that's not my sexual orientation. He's like, just close your eyes and pretend I'm a girl. And I'm like, kind of hesitant, like, is this real? And then he had this girl that he noticed I was looking at the time, and like, if you want, she could be there too. And he's basically just asking for sexual favors to get me the probably would have been top 3 biggest jobs of my life. But like I said, I got scout when I'm 27. Like, you're not gonna manipulate me. So I'm just like, no. He's like, all right. And then I never saw him again. And I found out later that that's something he does a lot. He likes to get straight male models and tries to turn them out to do non-straight things with them. And he gets a turn on from that. And I could see that being a turn on, but I don't see that being a turn on enough to actually impose that on people. Maybe just do it in your head or something. But yeah, abuse happens. But if you were to join the modeling industry, I would not expect it to happen. I just wouldn't anymore. Obviously, I just be aware that if you're getting pushed to boundaries that should not be broken, then just say no. But because of the increase in consequences, it would be less and less of a worry over time. I really wouldn't be too worried about it. But regardless, because humanity is imperfect, it will happen from time to time, okay? Are there any perks to being a model? Like, do you get to keep clothes and shoes from the shoots and the fashion shows? Yeah, absolutely. There's plenty of times where they'll be given a whole bunch of material for the sake of promotional efforts or for a modeling job, and they're not going to keep it. No one wants it, and they're not going to sell it because you just got done sweating in it. So they'll be like, hey, you can keep that if you want to. So that'll be a perk. If they are trying to pay you with clothes and shoes, but not pay you with money, I will not take those jobs. Like, I can't, this is my job. I'm here to pay the rent. I can't pay the rent with clothes. I've tried. It doesn't work. Like, they want money, so I'm doing this job for you, so I expect compensation. And if you want me to keep the clothes and the jewelry or the shoes or whatever, I mean, yeah, that's definitely a perk. It should be a perk. It should not be the payment. You feel me? Now, if the client is a startup and you're a startup model, and they say, hey, will you do this job? I'll let you keep the shit. Yeah, take it if you want to. Like, in the beginning phases, this rule can definitely be broken. But as a rule, as a norm, this shouldn't be a norm. Like, it should be a perk only and not a form of payment. That's the biggest thing with that. And you could break this rule at your leisure. Like, I was a pretty established model and I did a jewelry joint for somebody and they weren't paying me, but they're going to let me pick out a piece of jewelry to keep. Yeah, I wanted to support, so I did it because I just like supporting people. But once again, that wasn't a norm. That wasn't a regular thing for me. It was just something I do enjoy doing that for people. It's just, if it's through the agency and you do that, then other clients are going to start feeling like, oh, Eric's going to be able to take clothes. We don't have to pay him. He's going to be cheap labor. Like, you don't want that to happen. Branding is definitely a thing. Like, no other job works that way. Like, you don't be a dishwasher at a restaurant. You work 12, 14 hours that day and they're like, hey, we're not going to pay you, but we're going to let you keep the sponges. You could take sponges home. You could take some spatulas. Like, that doesn't work in any other industry. So that shouldn't be a norm in this industry either, in my opinion. You experience pretty privilege? Yes and no. There's people who treated me different after I became a model. Literally, the week before I became a model, somebody was treating me like a second-class citizen. And then the week after, all of a sudden, they were like, oh, you're the man. Do you want free drinks? Blah, blah, blah. Like, they would treat me different, like, just from one moment to the next. It's crazy. But that's more of the status of being a model. It's not really the pretty thing because I'm not pretty. Like, the reason why I became a model is because I'm not grotesque and I'm tall. And there's not too many Asians who are like 6'2", 6'3", I guess. I feel like if you go to Korea, like, mad people are like 6'1" to 6'4". Like, there's a lot of tall Koreans, for example. Probably other Asians probably taller too. Like, I know a lot of tall Tibetans. But in general, people feel like if you tall and you're Asian and you're not grotesque, like, let's sign him. I don't have like a beautiful face. I kind of have like a unique face, but in a regular way, not in like a gorgeous way. You feel me? So when I'm walking around, like, nobody's giving me privilege just off of being pretty, because I'm not. But they might give me status because they think because they realize that I'm a model. Now, if you're pretty and everyone knows you're pretty and that's why you're a model, I'm sure you would have pretty privilege more than me. But as a male model, like, pretty privilege among me and my friends, it didn't really come in like cutting lines or anything like that. It was more like people giving you compliments, I guess. Like, it wouldn't give you more shit or free shit. One thing is, in the fashion industry, the models, they're at the bottom rung of the ladder. They're the lowest position, but they are treated maybe among the best as far as on the day of the job. They're like pampered, taken care of, don't lift a finger, you know, we got it. But you're really there for someone else's dream, for someone else's project. You're kind of just like a tool in the process. You're like among the lowest position, you feel me? So it just so happens that you are also the most recognizable position because you're the one on the billboard. But if you really look at it, you're not the designer, you're not the big name photographer, like you're just some pretty face for the job, supporting other people's dreams. All right, 2 main categories of modeling. This is gonna change a lot of your modeling experience. I just Googled the word commercial model. Here's an example that I think matches, like this, or maybe this. You're selling a product. It's a very mainstream target clientele as far as the consumer of the product. It's a wide breadth area of consumers that you're targeting. So Walmart, Target, shampoo, hair dye, you know, things like that. Those are commercial modeling jobs. And that's when you see the more classically beautiful type models. If you're a male, you're probably going to be muscularly built. Then there's fashion modeling. Now, fashion modeling, you're going to be doing runways, you're going to be doing editorials a lot, you're going to be on Vogue. Fashion models are doing the quote-unquote cool jobs, such as Vogue. You're going to be doing streetwear. But out of the two, commercial modeling, you could live off of if you're a working commercial model. If you do the same amount of jobs as a fashion model as a commercial model, you're probably making like 1/5 of the money as a fashion model. Fashion model jobs are more the prestige and the cool. Commercial jobs are you're gonna be getting paid. All right, all the models I know, is kind of a stereotype. If you get in as a commercial model, you want to do more fashion jobs because you get the cool pictures. And if you start off as a fashion model, you love it for about maybe a year or less, and then you're like, damn, I'm more broke than I was before. And now you want to start doing more commercial jobs. You know, grass is greener on the other side. The dream is if you have a face that could do both. Like, there was someone at our first agency, he was a booker, Crit. He's a face that could do both, fashion and commercial. Shouts to him, he's a beautiful human being. When I met him, he was more in the booker management role at that point, but he still could have modeled if he wanted to. If you have an in-between look like Crit, that is the dream. He has an in-between look that does both fashion and commercial really well. I had an in-between look that did both in kind of an average way. So just because you have an in-between look like me doesn't mean you'll be living the life. Like, it depends on in what way are you in between. He's in between in a superior way. I'm in between in an average way where I'm doing both sides kind of in a mediocre way in a sense. So my modeling career kind of took a left turn in 2020. A lot of the Asian jobs died for whatever reason. People didn't want to hire Asians anymore. And then they quickly came back after a year or two. At that point, I gained weight. I naturally hold a lot of fat. I was a fat kid, but so long as I'm active, I'm super lean, I'm super skinny. But stuck at home, even when I'm doing like prison style workouts in the crib, it's not the same. And I think I put on like 1 pound a month. And my agency at that point was still sending me castings when the castings were coming back for me. And I was like, yeah, just let me lose a little weight first. And then I work out even harder and tighten up my diet, but I was still gaining weight every month to the point where I am now. I'm unrecognizable. I'm so overweight, you would not even recognize me anymore. So 2020, my career ended effectively. And it's funny because you, Joel, you asked about pretty privilege. When I was active in modeling and I go outside, I feel like I got treated a certain way, like nothing extreme, nothing super extravagant. People just kind of saw me, you know what I mean? And after I gained weight, I don't fit my clothes, so I'd be wearing like sweats and shit. Now when I go outside, I'm the same person, same personality. I just look bigger and I dress a little bit more bummy and I get treated mad different. Like I go into stores and I get kicked out. Like this one time they called the police on me because they thought I was trying to rob them. Even though I was trying to buy a coffee, right? And I'm trying to pay, I got the money in hand and they just looked at me and they're like, no, we're gonna call the police, get out of here. Like, we're tired of being robbed. And I'm like, I'm not trying to rob you, I'm trying to pay you. And then I ended up just leaving. I went to like a Dwayne Reed or something. And I was looking in the beauty section, like skincare. And one of the ladies that worked there, she was following me and she's kind of got that hurry up and buy type energy. And she had a cart with products to restock the shelves, and she was using it to push me out of the store, literally, because she thought I was looking for things to jack, because I always have a book bag on me, and she just wanted to make sure I wasn't stealing. I was at Best Buy, and I was being followed. Once again, I have a book bag as always. And this guy was just like, he's literally like 10 yards to my left. And he's talking on his comm system. And he's like, yeah, I got eyes on him right now. I'm not going to let him take anything. And I'm looking at him and I could hear him. And I'm just like, yo, do you want to check my bag? I'm just here looking for a USB cable. And he's like, oh, no, never. Like, of course not. Like, I'm just walking around making my rounds. I'm like, okay. And then I go to a different aisle and then he's still following me. He's keeping an eye on me. And I just left. So definitely the way I'm treated is different. But I think that makes sense because look, now I look like just a regular bummy neighborhood guy compared to before. I had all these clothes I love to wear, like jiggy, fashionable type shit, express myself. I can't fit them anymore. And in conjunction with like the increase in racism with Asians in the COVID era, I don't go outside anymore. And I try not to even go on the internet because just for mental health reasons, like reading comments and shit, you know what I'm talking about. And it wasn't until I started this YouTube channel that I felt like, damn, like just off of this YouTube shit and Patreon, like I'm meeting people who are like-minded, who are genuine, authentic people who are not judgmental or genocidal, and this YouTube shit is kind of my gateway back into talking to other Homo sapiens. So I'm really grateful. So that's why I was really happy to do this for you, Joel, and whoever else, 1, 2, 3 people who might be watching this. And I gotta say, I grew up in church, but I haven't been to church in a minute. And there's a church down the street. I visit them from time to time. And there's a period of time on my YouTube channel when I was messing with EXO and SM Entertainment that I was about to lose this community of awesome people that you guys are to the SM Entertainment blocks or reports or whatever it was. And the pastor down the street just prayed for me. And then within 2 or 3 days, everything lifted and I got my channel back and suddenly I had an avenue to continue with the channel. And that's another thing that I just feel like I got to put out there is I'm not no model Christian, but after that prayer, everything pivoted and continued on the up and up for me. So I just gotta give shout outs, Pastor Alex and the Jesus. Thank you for watching, whoever you are. Thank you for the privilege of your view and privilege of your time. If you have any comments or insults for me, put them in the comments below. Any criticisms or suggestions, and it's not gonna hurt my feelings. I feel like my ego dies too much for me to take anything too personal. So I'll see you on the next one.